look sexy and chilling.
Duncan, it's nearly showtime. Can you put that down? What is that?
A really big squid.
Are you ready for drinking? Drawing? What about laughing? Well, hold on to your butts. It's the ComX Friday Night Drink and Draw. With your hosts Sizzle and Spedsy, and the man they call QUAID, plus Australia's most attractive artists and creators, many of whom have books for sale at comx.shop. Hey, Sizzle? What say we start the shizzle?
Kookaburras mock you. They're not cool.
I'm down with kookaburras.
Hey, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is Friday night's Drink and Draw, the weekly show where we get together to drink and or draw and talk to a special guest and draw and talk about their characters or upcoming books or what have you. Joining me on the show tonight is Lady Radis Lauren Marshall. Hello.
Hi.
I've got my man who is faster. It's Quickle as Nick.
Yeah, faster, quick Nick. It's one and the same. Well done, Rob. Good work.
Yep, nailed it. 20 years of improv classes. Nick May, hello, sir.
G'day.
Mickey Shieldbreaker, first time on the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, champ.
Hairbutt the Hippo's dad. I can't believe it. He's here. He's the man. Jason Paulos. Hello.
Yeah.
Brad Pickersgill. Welcome back, sir.
Hi, everybody.
Deadly Dave Dye. What would we do? It's not even a show without you. Hello there.
G'day, everyone.
And the man we are here to talk to and talk about, it is Morgan QUAID. Hello.
Hello. Straight away.
Bit of business. Wow, straight into it. I didn't even get to warm up. Yes, no, look, so you may have noticed that Sizzle is missing. Yes, so there's been huge controversy out there. Where is he? What is he doing? So I do have a written statement that I would like to read. It says, thank you for your texts, emails, and well wishes. The rumors are true. I've gone to live with the crab people. I am 2 inches deep in a moist sandy beach. Don't come look for me. I'll likely mistake you for a hungry seagull and snip you in an effort to protect myself and my family. Please respect our privacy at this time. Kind regards, Sizzle, Snip, Snip. That's all I know about it. Until let's hope we get more information as the show rolls on. All right.
I always thought he's a crabby old bugger.
That's in improv, Dave. That's called a yes and. Thank you for that. That's awesome. All right, Morgan. Without further ado, let's do what you do on a Wednesday, but only it's on a Friday, and now I'm doing it to you.
All
Let's
right.
go.
Do it to me. Do it to me, Spedsy.
Tell me, what came first? Music or writing stories, or both? Tell us about your creative journey.
Cool. So I was just about to say music, and then I was going to say writing because I have a terrible memory. I think music, but forced music. You know that thing when you're a kid and your parents think it's a great idea for you to
Play the recorder.
grab. There he is with the beard. You know how they think it's a good idea to get you into guitar lessons when you're really young. So I think I was about 6 when I started lessons on a classical guitar. The thing was massive. I didn't get a smaller guitar. I got a normal adult-sized guitar. Could barely reach the strings, and just wasn't really into it. But I had a few years of that. So that was kind of what I got into, but I wasn't really into it. So I'd say writing would be writing stories about characters that get caught in a maze and there's weird creatures coming out and it's a big labyrinth kind of thing. I have a story that I wrote when I think I was about 8 or 9 on exactly that, and I read it now and I think that's the sort of thing I would write. Completely. So probably writing, and then the music came later. And when I was a teenager, super cool to be in a band, not as cool to be a writer. So I was in a band, a few bands. Actually, one of our bands was called Spatula City. Great name for a band. We did one gig at a uni and we cleared out the rec hall because we were too loud and no one listened. It was great. What a tour de force. but yeah, so always been involved with writing and music, and these days with the comic stuff, the one kind of pays for the other. So the music is how I fund a lot of the comic art, because it takes the money because there's so much work involved. So yeah, so I do something I can do and pay other people to do the thing that I can't do, which is pretty cool. Question answered.
Let's let's just jump all over the shop, because I have lots of things I would like to know. What you mentioned bad gig experience. Give us a few other ones, because I'm sure I myself have been in a band. There's no shortage of there's plenty of good stories. Sure.
Well, you're in a band, mate.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about it, Dave.
You learn something new every week.
One time with I'll start with myself. Why not? You were saying about being too loud. So there was these cover bands played out in the country at this huge place that there'd be 500 people there, easy, to watch a cover band, and they were going to put on original bands. And I was asked to play acoustic at the start. And I said, no, in front of all those people, I want to get my rock band down there. I want to blast it out. They had a sound trip meter. And so 500-ish people. And I start the main riff, the drums come in, kaboom, it all just turns off. It was the best. So give us one of your horror stories.
I was not a good gigger, and I was not a good. So I would be playing on stage as the guitarist and looking out at the people with a bit of disdain, kind of saying in my head, I wouldn't come out and see us. Why are you here? I'm a bit of a homebody. I'm not great at crowds and that sort of stuff. So COVID was great for me.
Yeah.
But I do remember we went to the valley. I can't remember where it was, somewhere in the valley. And you know this thing where you get there at 7 or 8? And you don't know if you're going to be on any time from 7 or 8 till 1 a.m.
Yep.
And so, of course, we were on it just before 1 a.m. So I had to watch all the other bands. Some of them were great. One of them, I won't say their name because I don't know why, they might be around or something, but still. But they had, I kid you not, 7 guitarists, all young dudes, 7 guitars. 3 is enough. Yeah. Some might say too many. 7 is way too many, and it was just this huge deafening loud noise. And then we get up there, and then in our band, of course, we have one guitarist with 1 amp and no effects pedals and all that sort of stuff. So that was more of it wasn't really a bad occasion for me. It was more just I was so tired and had been drinking, and by the time I got up was pretty delirious. We ended up doing a set somehow. I don't know how it went, but yeah. That was the last gig I did, because I just thought, you know what, I'm just not interested in this anymore. Why would I do this? But that was it. Other than that, I didn't do enough gigs to really, get a really bad experience. For me, they were all bad, pretty much.
I did plenty of those. It's like I'll just have the warm up beer, and then we're not on for another 3 hours. I'll just have 24 warm up beers.
That's it.
All right, so for those playing at home, wondering what kind of music podcast have I stumbled into, we are here to draw and talk about this lady here. Who is this?
Ooh.
Is she the Shadow's daughter? Is she available on Kickstarter right now?
She is the Shadow's daughter, the daughter of Shadows. And her name is Summer Rain. That's a cool one. I love that one. That's the one I'm trying to draw myself, and it
Sweet
hasn't
Belinda
worked.
Carlisle reference there too.
Indeed. That was completely on purpose also. It's all on purpose. Yeah, I like that one too.
So talk to us.
Got some good covers.
Talk to us
there,
about the
mate.
genesis of. Sorry, Dave.
Sorry, I'm just saying you got some really good covers there. What about 8 different covers in that?
Well, there's 6 different books.
But they're different books, 6, but you've got a couple of variations for the first one. That's right.
Yeah, three variants for the first one, and you never know, we might even have another one coming that's a secret surprise. I love them. I love covers, and I love just I love the art. It's great. So the more I can get, the better. So yeah, it's kind of addicted to it.
So take us back. So you're 8 or 9. You write this story. When did you start thinking you could do something with that? It was like, you know what, this is kind of cool. I like doing this. I want to make it a thing.
So that would have been in my 20s when I had a job that most of us have probably had, you know, that job that you hate, that bores you to tears, gives you headaches of boredom, that kind of thing. I was working in a call center at the time, and I just thought, I can't do this. This is not good, and I don't like it, and I don't want to do it anymore. And I started having fantasies about zombie invasions and that sort of thing, sort of tearing through the call center. So I started writing then. So there was a big gap between when I was a kid, and I liked writing and that sort of stuff. But that was when I really, in my 20s, thought, you know what? I'm going to be a novelist. And you know what? I think it will be super easy. I'll just get an idea and I'll write a novel and it'll be sweet. And then I'll get like a literary agent and they'll find a publisher. And then, you know, 10 years later, I'm thinking it's not such an easy thing. And, you know, it's a lot of hard work. And I don't even know what a novel is. I've written 10 of them now, and I'm still convinced I haven't cracked a novel yet. I don't know how they work, the mechanics of them and everything. But yeah, that was when I really was like, yeah, I'm going to be a writer. That's my thing. That's what I'm going to do. And then it was 10 years of hard graft and hard work and trying to self-publish and trying to figure out how to do it and everything. And then just, you know, the misery of billions of rejection letters and all of that sort of stuff. And then I wandered into ComX, etc. in Brisbane City, comic book shop in there. Something's going amiss. Yeah, so I walked into the comic book shop. Had never really gotten into comics when I was younger. It wasn't really my thing. Walked into a comic book shop in my 30s, I think it was, and saw some of the Image comics, you know, line up. I think it was Chew was my first comic that I picked up. Amazing, like beautiful artwork, amazing, you know, really cool story. And it just floored me. I thought, holy hell, I had no idea that comics had gone this way and that you could do anything. You can basically do, if you've got a film idea in your head, you can do it with comics. If you've got a novel, if you've got whatever. So as soon as I did that, I lost all my money and bought every comic that I could, and then started educating myself on what the big comics were and all that sort of stuff. Didn't really go near Marvel or DC. It was more the indie side, you know, and the imagey type, you know, Dark Horse sort of stuff. Yeah, that's exactly what it was like, except I didn't look that good. There were bigger rings under my eyes. Yeah, and then from then on, I just thought I got to do this thing. So I just started doing it, and that's where the comic journey came from.
Now the ComX, etc. story. See, I hear it different because I spoke to one of the owners. They said that you mistook Chew as an instruction manual and you started trying to eat it.
Well, it's kind of do what you see, and I saw Chew, so I chewed, and then they said, you have to buy that now, sir. So I bought it. Yes, and ladies and gentlemen. And that was also a callback. Yeah. I didn't see that one. I should have given it a go.
And so, all right, well, let's talk about Shadow's daughter, because that's who we're here to talk about. I should have done this, linear type timeliney thing, but we're just going where we're going. So tell us about the genesis of Shadow's daughter, where the idea came from, and how you went about finding the right artist, and just talk us through the whole thing.
Yeah, so the genesis of the idea, most of my stories are novels before they're actually these days not so much. I do write comics just for comics' sakes, but this came from a novel. So the idea behind the novel is a bit silly. I swore that I would never write a novel with vampires or werewolves or any of that junk. This was around about the time that a certain vampire franchise was very, very big among teens, and you know, that sort of stuff, and shiny vampire skin and that sort of stuff.
Oh,
Blade trilogy. Yeah, and the Buffy. So so it was just like, it's been done so many times before. What could I add to it, and what could I do that would stand out? I thought, I'm not going to do it. And then a few years later, I thought, come on, dude, you got to challenge yourself. Do something you don't want to do. Do vampires, or at least have that sort of supernatural, paranormal sort of stuff in there. So I started writing, and then as I'm writing, I really got into the story, and I thought, this is really cool. There's some cool stuff I could do, and this, and you know, sort of change the way vampires are viewed, make them more like rodents rather than, you know, these majestic sort of creatures, and have it more as a kind of, you know, most vampires don't live through their first year. It's more of a, but also they're not the main story. They're just part of the world that this thing, you know, takes. What am I eating? Oh, chew, of course. Fantastic. Of course. Yeah, so that's what started it. The actual idea, anyone that's read any of my stuff knows I'm fascinated by anything to do with dreams, alternate worlds, and for some reason the moon or planetary sort of shifts and those sort of things. I don't know why, but I just am. And so in the setting for this story, there's a demon moon that rises before the main character Summer is born. And when that demon moon rises, it sort of freezes in the sky. And as it freezes for about a month, the earth is sort of torn into pieces. Everything goes into chaos, earthquakes, fires, you know, tsunami, that sort of thing. Rise! So all of that that happens. And as a result of that, a certain portion of the population have inbuilt traits that start to come out. So people with vampirism start becoming vampires, and then werewolf type people, sorcerers that are like mancers is what I call them in the book. So mancery, sorcery, the whole sort of thing. So the world basically changes, and around about 2% of the population becomes something, you know, paranormal, or not paranormal, but preternatural. And then the world has to deal with that, and Summer is born into this world, and she has the rarest gift of all, which is that she is a shadow mancer. So she has the ability to bend shadow to her will, use it as a physical force, all of that sort of stuff. And she's incredibly rare because there's only one other shadow mancer in kind of public memory, and that was a serial killer that lived 10 years, or that was captured 10 years earlier. So there's this real negative vibe out there when people come into contact with her. There's a lot of fear, first of all, because it's a very powerful gift, but also in the collective memory of the people is this guy that did nasty, nasty things to many, many people, which is a bit of a side note. And so basically this character, Summer, she's smart-mouthed. She's not muscly or anything like that. She's, you know, fairly, you know, slim and young and all the rest of it, but she has this incredible power within her. But what does she use it for? Well, to get money, of course. So she's a bounty hunter. She effectively brings in remade individuals, these people that have been sort of transformed by the moon, for the feds. And that's how she makes her cash. So she uses her abilities to do that sort of stuff. And she has a couple of friends that she works with, but generally it's, you know, she's doing it by herself. She will work with the Bureau, this group, that, you know, this organization, but she's not part of the Bureau. She doesn't want to be labeled. She doesn't want to, you know, it's that sort of thing. And that is the essence of Shadow's Daughter. So in terms of the artwork, there have been 10 artists that have worked on the series at different times. So I've started with, this is the only comic I've done that has a kind of manga-y type of vibe. And so I just thought I'll go for something that's kind of manga. And this project seemed like a really good fit. It's, you know, there's a lot of humor in there. There's a lot of action, you know, some really cool stuff that I thought that this genre would suit really well. So then I went online and just tried to find people, and, you know, it's a bit of a process you go through as a writer. You end up paying money to some artists that just, it doesn't really click, and you sort of move on, and then you get other ones, or some of them it's really great. So the primary artist on the first issue was great and everything was working well, and then they basically shut up shop, and then I'm like, oh, you're not doing art anymore, but dude, you're so good. Yeah. So then I had to find another artist, and he had a very different style, and then, you know, towards the end of that, I was moving on. And then for this Kickstarter campaign, I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to do black and white, like manga black and white, but still with a Western style, for two very good reasons. One, it's so much cheaper. And two, it's so much cheaper. So those two reasons meant that I could do 4 books in the time and the cost for one. And I thought, I can go back. So there's a main story of Shadow's Daughter, which echoes what goes on in the novel. But I thought that kind of takes place after she's been working as a bounty hunter for 10 years. I've got 10 years of stories I could tell in black and white whatever I want. You know, I haven't written anything about what happened back then. So it really gave me a chance to sort of explore the backstory. And rather cleverly, I did it in black and white because it's kind of like, you know, the memories and the things that happened are in black and white, whereas the current is in color. It wasn't all driven by money. It was totally an aesthetic choice. And it was very inexpensive, which is great. So yeah, so now I'm working with three manga artists on the black and white stuff.
And how does it go converting a novel to comics? I assume there was a whole bunch you had to cut out.
Oh, nice. Shadow puppets.
I think you get that from the Kickstarter ad, mate.
Hey, Organ, is it cheaper?
Well, Orge, yes, it's definitely a lot cheaper. There we go. Yeah, it's a ton. It's a lot cheaper. It's about a quarter of the cost, and it's cheaper to print. And it's and also the just different. Obviously, talk to Lee Chalker about the difference between black and white and color. It was really good because it's the first black and white comic that I've done, and I've really enjoyed just the difference in the way that tone is used and all that sort of stuff. But going from a novel to a comic series, you have to kind of reduce it to an arc that makes sense. The problem with sDaughter is I've got 2 comics on Kickstarter now, amazing value. Anyone in Australia, you get 3 bonus comics, boom, boom. So the first 2, they're like 64 pages for the first one, and then 56, I think, pages for the second one. And they're like not even halfway through the story. So it's a lot of pages to get through the story because it was one of my first times moving from novel to comic. And so they are a little bit more lengthy than what I would do now if I was starting again, because it is hard to condense because it's like there's so much cool stuff. So what do I leave out and what do I keep in? And as I've done more comic writing, I've realized, you have to be concise and you have to not be so wordy, and you have to pick your moments and then think about what's on the next page when you flip over. All those mechanics that you don't worry about in a novel. A novel is so easy to get a cliffhanger because you just keep writing until you get to the end of the chapter and then you go cliffhanger, and then you move on because you can force them to flip wherever you want. But whereas with a comic, you've got to think more closely about that sort of stuff. And the long story short is it ends up being a long comic series, which is costly, time consuming, and draining to get out there. And you're trying to keep enough interest in readers that they'll stick with it and see, hey, there is an end to this thing. The good thing about it is I know exactly how it ends, and it ends really well. And there are some great twists that no one will know about. So I re-edited my, because the novels, I'm toying with bringing that out this year as well. Re-edited the novel.
Right.
Yeah, the novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not out yet, so people haven't read it.
No one's read it, no, except a couple of editors have looked at it, but no one's read it. So I had to go through it to re-edit it again because, spelling mistakes and everything. And genuinely, because I've got such a bad memory, 3 or 4 times towards the end, I genuinely was doing the whole, oh my God, that's awesome. That's really cool, because I'd forgotten the twist that was in there, which is great. It means that hopefully readers will see the same thing. And so I know there's some good stuff in the comics when we get to that. It's just, how long does it take to get there? And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the spin-offs, because they're standalone. You can enjoy them on their own. They're all 40 pages or thereabouts, so they're decent size. Yeah. But it just takes some of the pressure off, and it means people can invest in the series a bit more without, having to wait for the end of the story. And that was a long-winded response.
No,
Dave,
please.
that looks awesome.
Bring on the long wind. Well, speaking of Dave, how about we take a second and let's think about what we've heard so far.
Oh wow!
What are we doing here, Dave?
This is of course, she's a bounty hunter, isn't she?
Is that who I think it is on the poster?
Well, you got to do target practice on something, haven't you?
It's quite a topical.
Wow.
You're very good at likenesses, Dave.
Do a lot of caricatures, mate.
That looks
It's so
exactly
good.
like Morgan.
If only I see hair on the top of that head.
So yeah, and she's got that wild hair. hasn't she?
Yeah.
Was that electricity, static electricity, or that's the power? Is it?
I don't know. I think she just uses it to. There's a couple of scenes in the novel where she uses it as kind of a Medusa kind of thing to cliffhangers.
Just for the people at home who might not be
Yeah.
as quick as some of us. Just in case.
You hear that,
Oh,
dummies?
He's up, dude. I'm smart on off days.
Just so, yeah. So I've written some novels too, and the editing something, like when after like going back and editing something that you've not been knee deep in for the last however. Do you find yourself like you're going, oh, this should go this way, and then you just start typing, and then you realize a couple paragraphs later you did actually go where it's like
all the time.
You almost have to read the whole thing again, and it's just so laborious. It's just so much rereading.
It's the worst. It's the worst part of the writing process, I find, and particularly because I'm capable of making the same grammatical mistake 1,000 times if I edit that thing 1,000 times, which is why you have other people edit and everything. But but exactly like you say, I've edited, and you get to a point and you think, oh, I need to add this bit in, and you add it in, and then 2 paragraphs later you've already done it, and you think, I need to trust that I'm very predictable, and I'm going to do the thing that I would normally do in this sort of circumstance.
Yeah.
But it's also, you got to make the decision, like at the moment. So I've last week finished a novel, and now that's sitting to get ready to go edit it. And now I've got to make the decision, do I go to the next in the series while it's fresh in my head, or do I move on to something else and lose all of that, which means when I come back, I've got to start from ground zero again, and all these things I've got to remember. And I think I've decided, even though it was hard getting through that novel, I'm going to keep going because once it's gone, it's gone. It's definitely a thing. Whereas comics, the immediacy of them is so great, and the artwork and the imagery sort of living in your head, it's so much quicker to get right back into it and keep going. And I find it's because there's not the volume of words and complex ideas and that sort of stuff. It's just so much. So, and literally, it'll take me, an hour to go through 5 comics in quick enough, speed that I can get the gist of what I was working through. Whereas a novel, a week, 2 weeks to edit, it's just like, and the whole time you're thinking and writing notes and having spreadsheets with all the complex. It gets worse the longer you go in a series. The longest I've gone so far is book 4, and book 4 is. I've decided to go in an alternate world, essentially, to get away from all of the problems with trying to remember what the first 3 books went through.
Yeah.
But comics, I find, I might get to that point with sDaughter because of the timing, as long as there's certain things that aren't given away earlier, it's pretty safe. There's only a few things that are covered in the book that aren't covered in the comics at the moment. So, but we'll see.
When I was a teenager, a guy was trying to intimidate me, wanted to fight me, and he flexed his fist, and he said, "When my knuckles go white, you can tell that I'm serious." And I was like, anyway. So years later, I would write a fantasy novel, and for some reason, that always stuck in my head that when you grip something hard enough, your knuckles go white. So I wrote. Yeah. I wrote like he draws his sword and his grip is so fierce that his knuckles turn white, sort of thing. So anyway, I'm typing away and I go to write that. I go, I feel like I've written that already, and so I search white knuckles. And 16 times in this 100,000 word novel, I'd gone to the well. So, yeah, doomed to repeat yourself.
We're pretty predictable creatures when it comes down to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So, how many issues of Shadow's Daughter are we looking at?
So, in the campaign, there are 6 issues. So there's 2 main issues, about 100 pages in color, which is the main story, which gets you to maybe 2/3 of the way through the larger story arc. Then there's 4 spin-off novels that are episodes from her earlier life as a bounty hunter and general badass. And some of those link a little bit, but they can be read independently and in any order, and it won't sort of ruin anything. There are also 2 more issues that the digital versions are now, they were stretch goals on the campaign. So everyone gets those 2 digital versions, even if they only, put in $1, people, just $1, 2 comics. Oh my God, my word. Anyway, so yeah, there's those 2. There's one called Infestation and one called Possession. The key's in the title. One of them deals with an infestation, the other deals with a possession of some kind. That's when you can tell Morgan's running out of ideas, when the title starts going from like what lies beneath to possession. Morgan.
I think you
got to go over that again. I'm too confused.
Organ. Well, the next one's probably going to be Shadow Lady bashes dude in head or something. That'll be just easier for people to get the general gist of what's going on.
That's my speed.
Yeah. There's also so there's those 2. There's another one which is a key. It's a bigger one that's being finished off at the moment. That's a key episode from her past. So one of the things that's part of the series is addiction. Without giving too much away, there's a drug that starts circulating after this demon moon comes up after a while, because people that are turned or remade experience a lot of pain, some of them when the red moon is, or when the demon moon is up. So to get around that, they take this drug called rust, which is called that because of the color. It's like a rusty sort of color. And she is kind of hooked on that because of the immense pain that she feels early on in her career. But there's this sort of seminal episode in her life when she loses control, because what she doesn't realize is that when she is cut, the shadow within comes out, I'll put it that way, and it's not as easily controlled or defined as what she's used to. So that's a big one. That's a few pages away from being finished, but that probably won't be released for a little while. And then there are 3 more that are coming, because as part of the campaign, I opened up if anyone was a budding writer or an existing writer and they wanted to write for Shadow's Daughter, they could buy the top tier and essentially write an 8-page comic with me, do the artwork, all that sort of stuff, and we would do it all together. The problem is I'm not going to do an 8-page comic, because what's the point of that? So they've ended up being, they're going to be at least 24, maybe 40 pages each, with this, to really flesh out the story, which is great for me because I'm running out of ideas. It's great for the 3 people that have picked those up, because they get to write for an existing, I don't want to say franchise. What do you say if you don't want to sound like a
entity?
IP?
Yeah.
IP,
yeah.
That's worse.
Character?
Yeah.
IP is probably correct, I would imagine.
Yeah, so so they can write for a known IP that's not going to disappear overnight. It's fairly safe. The world is set up, the characters are set up, but there's so much depth to explore because so little has been explored, and they can pick whatever characters they want. Why the teeth? The teeth is the best. Sorry. That's so good. Oh, goodness me. Yeah. So that was really good, and I was really surprised that people took that up. And as I said, it alleviates some of the heavy lifting from me, and it means that we can explore. The other thing is I'm announcing tomorrow in the campaign, but I keep announcing it anyway because I'm not good with secrets. So the whole series, it's been picked up by Marcosia, a UK publisher.
Great.
Which means
Very cool.
once the campaign is over, it'll be available worldwide. It'll be, what's that thing? Lauren, you'd know, the printing, the perfect bound. That's it. So they're going to be
perfect bound, yeah.
perfect bound, which I hear is a good thing. The kids like the perfect bound.
By definition, it's perfect. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they're going to be available, which again is a good thing for these writers because it means they're going to get their name on something that's going to be out there, and and there's a bit of longevity to the whole thing, which is really cool. The other thing is the versions on Kickstarter are from my own publishing company, so they're super serious ComX versions, which will have extras in the back that won't be included in the Marcosia versions. So they're essentially unique. So what's coming out of the Kickstarter version will be unique. And there'll be a sort of slimmed down version, commercial version, if you like, for Marcosia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, as the writer of The Devil's Toilet, you have a devil moon or a demon moon. What exactly makes a moon a demon moon? How did this moon get demoned?
Horns. It comes down to horns and the pitchfork. So you may recall I said earlier, I love the idea of alternate worlds, or I like the idea of two realities or two worlds that are clashing against one another and causing friction and bleeding over from one to the other. So the story with sDaughter is that aspects of that other world where that demon moon comes from are bleeding into our reality and vice versa. So it's just a moon from another world, but at the time that it rises, the veil between the two realities is very thin, and so things get weird and strange, and so that, and they call it a demon moon, or she calls it Big Red, or I can't remember
cool.
what else she calls it. Yeah, so they have kind of nicknames for it because it pops up every now and then. The other interesting thing about it is the longer it stays up in the sky, the hotter it gets. So essentially when Big Red rises, all of the normal people, they run back into their high rises with their walled kind of guarded walls around it, and they just lock themselves away in quarantine. And then all the crazies come out and they go to pubs and bars and have concerts and all that, and that just goes nuts. And that's when Summer comes out, because she hunts parole violators and people at the bureau are after while she's out and about,
So this is a somewhat modernish world, right?
Big Red,
like
yes.
High rises and concerts and whatever.
It's an alternate version of our world, probably it's probably about 10 years ago to nowish. But a world where 30 years ago the demon moon first rose. So it will be our world, but considerably changed because of this thing that happened and what that means. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a Friday night, and Summer Rain has just finished another week of hunting these crazies because of the hot demon moon. But the demon moon...
I didn't say it was an attractive demon moon. It was just a demon moon. That's not,
But
let's be clear.
The demon moon dips behind a mountain. You can still faintly see it, so she's still out and about. But she knows that there's a break coming, so she dumps in the car, and you happen to be driving.
This is
she in the back seat?
Ever.
You happen to be driving the car, so she jumps in the back seat. And,
she's in the back seat. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And you take her down. You're like, look, you've had a hard week. Let me shout you some dinner. You take her to KFC.
KFC?
Yeah.
Right. This is a long walk. This is a very long walk to get where we're going. But yeah, I'm with you. So KFC, back seat. Gotcha.
And anyway, so she's too shy to place the order herself. So you have to order for her.
Yeah.
What would you order her from KFC?
KFC, it would be, and notice no hesitation, Zinger Burger combo. Done.
Right.
She wants the fire. She wants the crunch. She doesn't care what she eats because she's young and thin and doesn't think that's ever going to change. And I don't know, maybe she could use Shadow to thin herself if she needs to. I don't know how that works. That's in, 15 books time. when she's a bit older. I don't know. Yeah, she would go straight for the zinger, hot, fiery, and chips and stuff. Yeah. I don't have a funny answer for it because that's just what she would get. There is another character which isn't explored much in it. So she has what I can't remember the word. What is that person roommate? That's the one you live with that is in the same apartment as you. Roommate. So she's got a roommate named Tammy who is a kind of chef and is always experimenting with stuff. And her favorite thing is pancakes. So every Saturday, pancakes. So if she was in the back, whatever time of day it would be, whatever store she went to, it would be pancakes, please.
Okay, now both those answers were wrong.
Damn it.
Yeah, KFC doesn't sell pancakes.
But we took so long to get there as well.
If she does want it to be hot and crunchy, then she should get the Zinger Crunch burger with the supercharged sauce. So... just Summer, if you're watching, get old Spedsy to take you to KFC.
Can I just clarify, though, in Summer's world, it's about 10 years ago, and they haven't invented those ones because it's been a long time since I've been through KFC, so I forgot that was a thing.
Whereas I was there earlier today.
Right.
And there were no pancakes. So, one of my best friends that I have been friends with for about 30 years, he grew up in Minkara Court. So we called him Minky. And nowhere else have I ever heard that name before until this guy.
Yeah, Minky, he's my favorite.
Yeah, right.
Tell us about Minky.
So Minky is he's a mundane, so he's a normal dude, but he lives in the Undercity. So essentially there's the normal city up the top where most of the action takes place, and there's this Undercity which you can only get to through several sort of portals, and that's where a lot of the remade individuals live permanently. It's been there for hundreds of thousands of years. It's got a lot of history, all that sort of stuff. And Minky is effectively a tinkerer. So there's a bit of a thing, people that use mancery or magic, that sort of stuff, it causes electronic devices to go a bit haywire. So he modifies them. So he sells phone chargers and TVs and all that sort of stuff that work if you're a blood mancer or whatever. So he does that. He also sells weapons beneath the counter, but Summer doesn't know that until a little bit later on. So he's got his paws in a few different things. But he's kind of the father figure. So years earlier, Summer kicked open his door, ran in, pointed a gun at him, and said, basically, I think she said, like, get on the ground or I'll rip your beardy face off, something like that. So something to that effect. And he, of course, didn't know what was going on. It turns out she was hunting someone that was working for Minky, and he didn't know. And then they became fast friends, and he's kind of like the old, dependable... He's a Russian-ish, which may not be topical, individuals, but of kind of like undetermined Slavic sort of heritage. So it's not clear, and Summer's never really asked, but he has a thick-ish accent, and he loves Somagon and vodka and that sort of stuff. And he's pretty cool. He's like a stable influence in her life, and he's someone that she will depend on. He's also funny, and he just loves her like a daughter, and all the rest of it. And he says funny stuff. And his full name is Melanius. No, that was the other guy, Melanius and Mink. I don't know what his full name is, but they just call him Minky.
Sorry for pressuring you to tell us his real name.
That's all right. Oh, nice. That's got like meanings.
Yeah.
That's your next episode.
That is. The chook comes back, and that is really cool.
Now, on your Wednesday show, you like to give people gifts of a drawing of their character. When I found out that I was hosting tonight, I drew mine in advance. So here, my friend... is my fan art.
Oh, dude!
Can't see it.
I want that on a t-shirt.
I love that.
Can't see it.
Oh, man.
You see now,
Great
Dave?
work, Rob.
Nah. Oh, yeah, now I can. Yeah, beauty,
Oh.
mate. Minky.
You cheated, man. We're all here trying to make fan art on the fly, and you do it in advance. You cheated, dude. Wow.
I'm seriously getting that on a t-shirt, dude. That is
Very
fantastic.
good, mate.
That is so wonderful.
So you
Oh.
find yourself driving a car and Minky's in the back seat, and you pull into a McDonald's drive-through. What does Minky get?
Minky would spend an inordinate amount of time clarifying what is in every single thing on the menu and talking way too much to the person at the window that's just trying to take his order and asking all sorts of weird questions about where did you come from and all that stuff. He's just very interested in he would forget to order. I would have to order for him. He would just be talking and then, it's incredible what they can do with chicken nuggets. And, I would just order for him. So I just get a burger of some kind.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, I do have a little something else we could have a look at. Nick May has sent us through a little something. I'll just put it up twice for the people playing at home.
Oh, yeah.
That is so good.
Excellent,
Oh,
mate.
sick.
Yeah, nice work,
Little
Nick.
faces in the shadows.
That's
That would be like such a cool animated series with characters like that. That would be so cool.
Aw.
Oh, and the colors as well. You've got the colors spot on.
The dog loves it.
That's serpent in the back.
Yeah, he's something. He wants attention.
Don't we all?
Thanks, Nick. That was awesome.
I'll just mute you, Mickey, just before the RSPCA comes knocking. Does anybody else, maybe one of the traditionalists in the room, want to show us a little something? What's how you're traveling?
Oh,
Wow, look at that.
Give me a sec.
Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Oh my
Goodness.
god!
Oh, Jason.
Hold it still.
Right there.
That is amazing.
I'm so
Man.
fast.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
Hell,
That's
you're
nuts.
so fast.
That's amazing, Jason.
that is so
Very good,
good.
mate.
That is nuts.
Brad, you want to show us where you're at?
Oh
Hey,
wow,
Oh, that's looking real
Sweet.
good, mate.
That's awesome.
that's great.
Beautiful.
that is awesome.
Very good.
Oh man, that's so cool.
Nice. Jason, while we've got you, do you want to tell us, for the people playing at home that may or may not know, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. Where do I start?
The beginning.
Yeah, the
Oh, no.
beginning. We have to have you on for a Hairbutt the Hippo show. That has to happen.
Well,
But
Yeah.
give us
how about
the
I'll show you the books. Okay, just wait there.
yeah.
I've got a filler. Here we go.
Nice, yes. Topical, yes. I'm not going to do the accent either.
Topical, yes.
So we'll go from latest to oldest.
Please.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
Good stuff. Oh,
Nice.
yeah, Eek. Yeah, I got Eek. We've got a digital version.
So what are we looking at? I'm a bit in the dark. What's happening?
We're looking at Jason Paulos's whole bibliography.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, cool.
No, there's more, but I'll just show you what we can in the time.
I got that.
Yeah, I got that one. You and Bo Jardine, right?
Sketchbooking action.
Yeah.
Nice.
Another sketchbook here. I keep printing these things, but don't bother selling them. So I've just got boxes of them lying around. I don't know why.
You like them so much you keep them.
Yeah. So there's probably some stuff you guys probably haven't seen because some of it's published in America only. So the Eek anthology was published in America. They just did a Halloween issue which I still haven't got the copies of. I think he posted them. I probably will never see them. I was also featured in the Creeps magazine.
Oh, nice.
When that started. And I was in a horror anthology called Bloke's Tomb of Terror. So there's a bunch of stuff from like a 5-year period that you can't buy here, and that I can't reprint. Like the Creep stuff, for example, which is now turned into Shudder magazine because they got sued. They got sued by the owners of the Warren, franchise.
Yeah.
So they changed the name. I'm actually also there you go. I'm actually also being featured in an American horror anthology called Eerie or Eerie. It's spelled Eyrie by a guy called Mike Hoffman, who's a legendary painter and comic artist, indie guy in the States. And if you're into that kind of Warren EC sort of shock ending horror, it's worth looking that up. But obviously buying a Kickstarter, it's on some kind of Kickstarter-ish sort of thing. There's something called KLP, which does international shipping or something. So he's an interesting dude because he's carved out an independent career for himself, doing his own characters. He got sort of unfairly lumped into the Frazetta lookalike, the Frazetta clone bunch of artists, and became a bit controversial there for no fault of his own. But he's super prolific, and he took over the Bloke's Tomb of Terror sort of idea and turned it into Eerie magazine. And they're all sort of Warren-esque, sort of EC Comics shock ending anthology style horror things, which is what I tried to do with Eek, So that's the original edition that I brought out about I don't know how many years ago, 10 years ago. And that got picked up by Asylum Press in the States after that. And I do have an Asylum issue. Do you mind if I just go grab them?
Yeah, grab it.
All right, if I just walk off and grab stuff?
Yeah, go.
All right, okay. So talk amongst yourselves.
We'll be here when you get back.
Here I
Hey,
am.
Mickey, do you want to show us where you're at with your Shudder's Daughter?
Yeah, this is not really my usual method. So hang on.
Yeah,
no, it's all good. It's all good. So it's not gonna be.
Oh, dude.
Can we get some decent lighting on it? There we go.
And she's got a sword.
Oh, you got the
great
sword
work.
there.
Yeah. So
Nice.
it's a rush job.
Oh, no,
No,
you
that's
only got a short time here.
That's awesome.
You only got an hour.
Summer sword.
How is the world of Shieldbreaker going? You've got a Kickstarter going yourself right now.
Yeah, so the Kickstarter hit its target, which is a base level target. That target gets my subcontracted colorist paid. So Kevin's happy. Kevin's super happy. So that's good. It's still building. We got 5 days left, and I'd love to get another $500 out of it if I could. We'll see. The book itself is going great. I'm currently penciling in the third installment of it and editing pages as I go. My method, I do a bunch of layouts. I lay out the whole story so I have visibility of what it looks like, and then go, all right, this doesn't work. This needs to be chopped. This needs to be fleshed out more because that's an important thing. So I'm doing simultaneously editing some layouts and drawing new stuff in. So you're trying to run the Kickstarter and the constant urge to just retreat into new work because that's a safe space. Yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah. Awesome. And that link I just put up That is basically set up by Sizzle. It has all the Australian Kickstarters that are running at the moment.
Yes.
So there you will find nearish the top is both Shieldbreaker and Shadow's Daughter. So take a look. How'd you go,
Thank you.
Jason?
Oh, good, thanks. Sorry about that.
No.
That's the Creeps.
Yes, I recognise. Yeah, right.
Yeah, nice.
Is that your
one.
cover?
No,
Or you've got stuff inside? No.
Yeah, that's what
Right.
the little post-it notes are for.
Ah, cool.
And I was in Heavy Metal magazine too. In that one.
All right.
Oh, wicked.
Good on you.
So little
Did you-
bits of ink have found their way into other overseas books, but it's sort of been by accident, I guess, not by design.
Mm. Yeah, well, one day we're going to have you on the show, maybe even with Bo as well, and do Hairbutt and talk about your whole career, because you've also got Sky's Cavern Library going on at the moment, right?
Yeah, I've done a bunch of stories with Pete, and
Pete's
he's
watching.
working
eh?
up a script at the moment.
Peter Lane, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on the book past issue 1?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of short stories, and
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'm not sure if he's decided what's going to be issue 1 or what, or how
Right,
he's going to present it, because we had a bit of a chat about the sort of a little world that he's got going there,
Mm-hmm.
and because I'm a big mouth, I can't help myself. I had to put my 2 cents worth in.
Yeah.
Because it just seemed like a great opportunity, because he's sort of starting from nothing.
Yeah.
And I sort of said, look, these short stories are great, but why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And, luckily for me, he liked a few of the things I said, and it sort of kicked off a few ideas in his own head where, oh, yeah, okay, well, maybe I can sort of backtrack a little bit and flesh out the world a little bit, because the short stories we were doing for Sky's Cavern Library it seemed like they were sort of coming in the middle of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was drawing this thing, and the whole time I had all these questions about, well, who are the characters? Why are they there? Why is there a white fox living in a cave from another? Where's he from? Oops. And I just thought, I felt that I'd like to enjoy working on kind of an origin of that sort of thing, really, to sort of kick the thing off a little bit, because I think he envisioned that he'd get like 100 issues or something to tell the whole story, and I sort of said, having been around the comics scene in Australia for a while, I sort of know that most comics don't really get past issue number 2 or 3, present company accepted, of course. And don't save your ideas up, man. Just give everyone the good stuff at the beginning, and then worry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't worry about using your best ideas. Just put them all in there, because you may not get a chance to hook people in later.
Yeah. It's funny, guy. I've got some comics coming out in the next month, and I just had that same issue a couple of days ago where I was drawing a page and someone was going to be a silhouette to be revealed later, and I was like, what if I never get around to this?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just going to reveal it now. So
Yeah.
So
So
get
he's
it.
really good. He's so sweet. He just loves loves everything I say.
Yeah, he's a
You
great
may
dude.
end up regretting that, but I have committed to draw it. So I'm in for the long haul. And I just admire writers who can put their ego aside and include the artist a bit, because as annoying as artists can be, I do think there's something about the visual shape of a story which can sort of I don't know, it's a collaborative medium, I've never been comfortable with the idea of, okay, here, draw this, you're the artist, and just shut up,
Mm-hmm.
Unless, it's Alan Moore or something like that, then you absolutely do shut up and you just draw it, right?
Yeah.
But there's only one Alan Moore. And the artists, you know, the poor buggers have to spend probably more time, or definitely more time drawing the bloody thing. Talking about other artists, of course, not me. I've got the unfortunate reputation of being super fast, and it's a bit of a curse, really, because you don't get paid extra for being quicker. You just get getting work.
Speaking of other artists, let's just take a quick look. We got 2 other drawings in. This is by Dan May.
Yes.
Great, Dan.
Yes.
I dare
that's a
people,
good one, Dan.
watchers
Well
of this show, go back 10 episodes and watch how quickly Dan is progressing with every drawing he sends in. It's quite phenomenal to watch.
She's badass.
Yeah. And then Robbie Donaldson.
Hey.
Yeah, good one, Robbie.
Amazing.
Nice one.
Very John
Right.
You can find Robbie on Instagram at Saddle Slap. He's also in Vamoose 2 and Vamoose upcoming Vamoose 3.
Go, Robbie.
Yeah, that's wicked. Robbie does all kinds of awesome character design on his Instagram. You should give it a look. Speaking of character design, Morgan, how does it go as a writer designing a character? Do you pick an artist who is good at character design, or do you give it to the first sequential person and hope? How does that work?
Well, how did you pitch Summer?
Yeah, so think of the worst way you could do it, and that's probably the way I've done it. So I've found out last year, I think last year, COVID has made it all merge. So I found out last year I have this thing called aphantasia, which there's a name for it now. There never used to be a name for it. And I thought everyone was the same. They're not the same. So if you say to me, picture an orange in your mind and blah, 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 I close my eyes, I just see black. Nothing. I have no visual imagination whatsoever. And I thought everyone was like this. And when they're saying, oh, imagine something, they're just speaking figuratively. And then, of course, I find out, no. People can see stuff. I can't see anything. And I found out, I was listening to a UK comedian, and he was talking to a friend of his and said, I've got this issue, and you're telling me to imagine this thing. And I'm thinking, what do you mean imagine? All I see is black. So anyway, I've recently found this thing out, and it makes so much sense of so many things, including I don't have an image on my mind of Summer, really, like a clear image when I go to the artist. So what Jason was saying, I lean so heavily on the artist, it's not funny, because I basically initially say, give me some, what do you draw well? What are the kind of figures that you draw well? Do a few examples of those, and we'll pick a face and we'll put it together, because until I can see it, I can't imagine it. It's really hard for me to kind of put it together. Makes me sound like I've got a disease or something, but it's not a disease. I'll put that out there.
It's fascinating. So how do you go writing a novel then? Like, because I mean, I picture it in my head, like a couple of words ahead as I'm typing. I can't even work that out. What? So you're saying, they walk into the castle.
So the way I explain it is, it's like my mind is that there's a black sheet, and behind that black sheet there are actors acting out my imagination. So I know it's there and I know what they're doing. It's just that visually I can't see it. So there's some other senses that are picking up. So it's as if you were in the room and you could hear, but it's kind of like that in the mind. It's really hard to describe. So I can still dream. I can still think ahead. And so film has been really influential for the way that I think and write and all the rest of it, because I can remember the images, but I can't remember them visually. It's really weird. So I don't know how it works, but there's something going on there. But again, that's why I rely on the artist so much to help. Like, I'll put ideas in, like I'll say maybe from this angle, and this and that, and they'll come in with, you know, ideas, but it's not until I see it that I can then sort of go, oh, okay, that makes sense, or that looks really good. Or so I'm more likely to change the text than change the artwork, if that makes sense, because that's easy for me to do, and I can, yeah. Anyway, it's weird.
Yeah. A friend revealed to me that he was colorblind, and I said, I went to open my mouth. I was like, but how? And he goes, go and ask me how I see traffic lights. Like, just sick of the questions. So I apologize if the black sheet talk has been done 1,000 times, but it's just fascinating.
No, it's only new for me. But your friend, by the way, just ask him, you know, when he goes out onto the field and he sees the lovely red grass, what does that, you know, feel like?
Really?
Apparently the reds and the greens are, you know, anyway.
Is that you fair income or what?
Yeah, fair income. And like I said, it was only the last couple of years that I found out this was a thing that's legitimate. I literally thought everyone was kind of talking figuratively. So I'll give you another example. These are both going to make me sound super dumb, but you know it's out there, so let's just go with it.
No, not at all.
The other one is I'm allergic to celery. Never knew I was allergic to celery. It's only a mild thing, but I get a fuzzy sort of tongue when I eat celery, just raw celery. And I thought everyone was like, I thought it's just something in the celery that gives you that weird sort of, and then I spoke to my wife and she said, I don't get a fuzzy tongue. What are you talking about? And so, you know, when you eat celery, you get a fuzzy tongue. No, I don't get a fuzzy tongue. You're weird. What's wrong? Then I, you know, go to the internet, look it up. Oh, some people can have an allergy. And so it's the same sort of thing. It's just a thing that I've had. Nice.
Very cool.
Oh, what's that in the background?
Skulls.
Fantastic,
Oh, was there a tentacle Cthulhu thing going on there in the... Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Someone's making calamari.
Yeah, what a ripper.
Yeah, you're allergic to celery. See, I had that problem too as a creative musician artist. I was allergic to a celery.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, but
I
think
should
of the
write that.
exposure, man. Think of the exposure.
Yeah.
Is he smoking a doobie there?
And allergic to
Celery.
Oh, that
That's
makes
celery
more
stick.
sense. That makes more sense. Bloody hell. Keep up. We have this one in. I believe their username is Logistic. Check this out.
Logistic. Oh, whoa.
Oh, that's good.
Fantastic.
That's very cool. That's like the cover of an album.
I've messaged for confirmation on the name, in case I'm mispronouncing them.
I love the
Logtastic.
things
Logtastic, not Logistic.
Fantastic. So, Morgan, is there a link between Summer creating black shapes and your lack of vision in the dark? Is there a link there? Did your understanding of this come before you created Summer or anything like that?
I think in 30 years when I'm hugely famous and successful, that's what people will say. But no, I don't know. I don't think so. I think I've loved the Peter Pan thing where the Shadow's kind of got his own identity. Yeah. I've just always liked that idea. Cool. So I think it more was stemming from that. But I don't know. There could be something to do. Yeah.
So Morgan, sort of would you have trouble imagining me now?
Yeah. Okay. So this is the interesting thing. So tons of artists have this, not tons, but there are artists that have that. There are apparently a higher percentage of people at Pixar that have this thing, but I don't know whether they're artists or they're just in the creative field or whatnot. But apparently it's in there. The sad part is I close my eyes. I can't picture my mum's face. Cannot at all. I can't remember. Even my wife, my son, I can't picture them at all. Wow. So it's this weird thing where, and you watch a movie and it's like, oh, I remember my mother's face or whatever. And I think, I've never had that. I can't.
Wow.
I mean, I don't miss it because I've never had it. But then you hear other people and you think, God, must be nice to imagine.
When I started doing caricatures, I was just in the army, just doing my mates and that. I used to do the whole unit, the whole group. Might be 24 blokes, but I do them all by memory. I had to do it all by memory because we didn't have computers then, and I didn't have photographs of him. So it just had to be, now what's he look like? Oh, yeah, he's got big eyes or he's got a long nose there. And I had to do it. I did the whole lot by memory. And, you know, they all said, you know, they were pretty close to the mark, most of them.
Gee, see, that's just, I couldn't imagine doing that, Dave. Oh, that looks so good, man.
I mean, I couldn't imagine doing 24 dudes either. Like,
the dark?
And that's just a skill, Dave, I guess, where you're picking out the most prominent features of the person and accentuating them. That's what I guess caricatures are, eh? But like you said, being able to do that without reference back in the day, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think I can still pretty much do it. You know, Putin there, and it's not spot on. I'd do a better job of that if I had a photograph to go by. But yeah,
why can't we just have a friendly neighborhood Putin? You know, where he's like, you know, riding bears with his shirt off, and you know, I miss that guy. I miss that guy.
We miss him, don't we? He was a nice one.
You could do it if you had
I didn't know the bear was wearing a shirt to begin with. He's riding a bear with his shirt off.
Dave, I love how you go at the whole thing with the same thickness brush. I think that's awesome, man. You just do it, man. It's great.
Thanks, Jace. Coming from you, I'm really happy to hear that.
You're fearless, buddy.
On you, Pete. Looking forward to reading Reverie 1 for Pete's latest.
Pete means I'm a pain in the ass. That's what he means.
Jason said that, and I'm just about to pick up a small pen.
Only joking, mate.
All right. Well, let's show you, I believe, what is the last piece to come in. Oh, hang on. Yeah, let's take one last look at that thingy.
That's sick.
So cool.
Nice,
man.
Brad.
So
Great,
cool.
Brad.
Awesome, Brad.
Good one, Brad.
Now we're just gonna leave it. Just gonna leave it on you for a while.
Zoom in.
It's just because he was sitting there looking at it. I just had to. And then
you got me again, Spedsy. You done it again, mate.
The lady soon to give birth in Perth, Lauren Marshall.
No, not soon, but
Lauren, it's so good.
Holy
man.
There's two legs.
Oh, look.
Very good, Lauren.
Yes.
Hey, Lauren, do you sign your stuff?
I should, I guess. Well, no, someone will make NFT out of this now. Go on, Morgan.
No, that's Can I still do it if you sign it? That I can. I don't know the NFTs.
No,
I think that scare me. Just send me some Bitcoin.
Send you a bit of a coin.
Send me a bit of a coin.
Yeah, just a bit of a coin.
All right. Well, let us head into the last segment, shall we? With a little bit of
segments.
Yeah, we have segments on this show. It's like a thing.
This poor person is looking through the newspaper for info on what projects our artists have been working on. And this lost individual is using a map to find where she can follow our artists on social media and buy their books. How about we save them the trouble and just tell them? We call this next segment Shameless Self-Promotion.
So Sizzle is not with us tonight, so I will do the Sizzleness. Go to presents.comx.studio. Right now you can grab Presents number 3. The correct cover to choose is my one. But you can also get Noir, which has got stories by some of the very folks in this room and some other awesome, talented creators. And you can pick up my books from psychogenitor.com. Lauren.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. I always see Alex say that, so please like and subscribe right now or else. So I have obviously just announced that I'm actually cooking up a storm non-art related, making a little mini Lady Radis at the moment. So I'm a little bit preoccupied being pregnant. But other than that, I'm a little bit quiet on the art front, but Lana Luca is moving ahead just fine. No need to worry about that. But you can find me at The Martial Arts on Instagram and laurenmartialart.com. Quick, next.
Yo, you can get my cover for the Presents Noir current one at Kickstarter.com. And some friends of mine usually, recently watched the show, and believe it or not, they said I don't plug my website and the website enough. So here we go. DetectivePodgy.com and ComX.shop. That's where you want to be to get my books. Alrighty.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
What? Oh, what? Who's running this? Yeah.
Cut it out.
Nicholas Mayfield.
You can find me on Instagram at Chernobyl. I'm waiting for, this is just a mock-up for Vamoose 3 that'll come out when somebody at Psycho Janitor is ready.
I got 1 page left.
Sweet, brah. I'm also doing a little zombie basketballer story for Silver Fox Comics, so look forward to that coming out in a few months' time. But over to you, Jason.
Just hit me up on Facebook. It's all there, guys.
Nice.
Sweet. Brad.
Paulos on Facebook.
Oh, I was hoping that would be longer there, Jason. I'm currently working on my first book, which is going to be called The Miner. That's MANER. And that will be introduced in the ComX Presents Noir later in the year. We're working on a bunch of concept art for that, and I'm about to start thinking about, scripting and all that sort of stuff. So I'm pretty excited about it. You can find me on the gram at BP Art Brisbane or the face on BP Art. Over to you, Deadly Dave.
All right. Okay. Well, I haven't found what I was looking for. Just I showed you this the other day. This is the cover painting for
wonderful
Time Fault.
It's unreal.
Watercolor.
So cool.
That is being off to the printer now. Just been sent off, I do believe. So that's called Time Fault. That will be coming out soon. Written by Roger Stitson. I received my stuff can be found in the comic shop and also on Owner Indie. I just got to say, I read this the other day.
Yeah.
This is a bloody good comic. Good story, good humour, well written, great art, and by a pretty good sort of a bloke too. He's pretty quick at what he does, and
You're right.
Quick Nick up there did this, and he's done a bloody good job. That's a real good read, and I recommend it.
Thanks, Dave.
No worries, awesome, mate. That's all from me. Over to Mickey.
Thanks, sir. Best place to find me is on the gram, mickey.d.madbastard. That you'll get links to everything else I do. I carbon copy to Facebook. I've got a YouTube channel, which is kind of fun. I basically just listen to Stoner Rock while I draw. This is the comic. This is part one. We are currently coloring and printing on Kickstarter, and this is part 2 that you can get a black and white edition with your color edition of part 1 on Kickstarter. Boom.
Nice work.
Nice.
Sweet.
Hold.
Stop doing the awkward face.
This'll does it to me. It's that now I got the controls. Sorry.
Payback time.
Morgan.
That's me.
Where do we go to get the awesomeness?
You go to morganquaid.com for all your Morgan Quaid needs, and all of the links are there to all the things and such. Oh, Idle Thuggery. Sweet. That's one of mine.
Quaid.
One of my early ones.
Quaid. Oop, where's my finger in the way? Yep.
That's a sweet cover
Get
too.
a hold of that one when you can.
And so I found out Logtastic is actually last week's guest, Logan French.
Oh, of course.
He of Amphibia Noir. Also
that
on
makes
Kickstarter at the moment.
Thank you,
All
Logan.
right.
Us
That's
and our
Logan,
pseudonyms.
is it?
Yeah.
All right.
I also wanted to give a shout out to Alex Major, who wasn't able to put in an animation today because he's had a rough day. So just a shout out and hope you're doing all right, buddy. So for those of you who tuned in to find out who was the hottest this week, let's just assume it was me. A shout out to Sizzle. Thanks for having us. Thanks for putting us on. What else have we got? Like and subscribe. I wrote down the salary joke, so that I didn't miss it.
You want to put that in an upcoming Devil's Toilet or something?
Yeah. Yeah, this is just where I field my material, see if it works, and then put it in a book. All right, so for the new people, stick around until after the show so we can just say how good was that, and I'll press the button, and we'll see you next week on the show. Thanks so much for joining us.
See ya.
Well, we drank, we drew, we talked nonsense. Now it's time to say goodbye. Don't cry, dry your eye, for there are many cool comics you can buy. ComX.shop is full of comics from a bunch of the creators you just watched. Amazing Tales by Dave Dye. The Devil's Toilet by Spedsy. ComX Presents featuring Ed Kearsley, Tony Manzi, Duncan Pranavicius, Peter Wilson, Lee Chalker, Zach George, and so much more. The list is longer than this outro. See you next Friday for more drinking and drawing. Alright Sizzle, press the button. Sizzle? Sizzle.